Yeah, how's it going? Today's 15th of July, Monday. It's a new week, and let's start strong. Where today, let's try to find as much information that we can while take a look at energy and or power production and everything that might come from there. In this video, we're gonna be taking a look at. I think briefly we were taking a look at some of the things that was happening within the UK. We can take a look at some of the companies and how capitalized some of those companies are when it comes to share prices. From there, we can progress and or touch on some of the opportunities to engage with the industry on the smaller projects. Some of these opportunities should be live as we speak, so people can enter some of those competitions and begin operating and supporting this industry. Let's start. Quick recap on our progress on the calendar. Last day we have finished week 150. Overall was great week. I had for some time away from work for first time after a long time on Sunday. But other than that, we are progressing to week 151, which is great. We have we've been packing this week with so many tasks that we need to accomplish, as well as we're gonna be finishing week while taking a look at government contracts. In today's video, we're gonna be taking a look at UK's SMR or small modular reactors. That is selection of context. So 6 companies into next stage. So 6 companies. Again, it had to be 10, but only 6 managed to progress, and they only managed to find 6. It's meant to be 10 companies. And from 10 companies, I think the entire competition was for 4 years, and from there they progressed only with 6 companies. And there's different competitions taking place within other places, not necessarily just within UK. There's other ones within Europe, so people who are interested, they can participate and take part once within Europe, as well as I was taking a look at fusion energy. So there's different ways how to solve exactly the same problem, right? But either way, so let's take a look at this article and what kind of information we can find. Again, I'm not supporting any of those companies, since we're going to be taking a look at stock prices, all this kind of things. I'm not supporting any of those companies. I'm just looking to understand and read some of these articles. I haven't read those, so I'll touch on it. That would be EDF, GF, Hitachi Nuclear Energy International LLC, Holtec, Britain Limited, New Scale Power, Rolls-Royce SMR, and Westinghouse Electric Company UK Limited are now to be invited to bid for UK's government contracts in the next stage of process. I have it ready, so let's take a look at it. We can take a look at briefly some of the. I think it would be every company would be roughly about 1 billion or so. So that's a bit worth of stock is something that they have. But we can touch on that, and from there we can continue within this article. First company we can take a look at New Scale, and I think, but who knows, entire market there might be about 45 worldwide companies, about 45, perhaps close to 100. So and some of those companies manage to raise more capital, and some of those companies manage to raise less capital. But what's important, I'll touch on where the stock price is as of now. So that would be 15.3 USD for every stock, right? So I'll touch on it, and let's progress to the next company. The next company we can take a look at that would be, I think that all these companies are headquartered in the US, I believe, but I haven't delved more in-depth analysis. This particular one is within the US. I think all 3 would be headquartered in the US, but either way, let's progress to the next one. Some of the stock prices are going up and down. There can be many reasons, including price of things like uranium, all these kind of things, right? Next company is actually Nano Nuclear Energy Inc. And stock price is at currently $20 for every stock. So I thought I'll touch on it, and let's come back to this article and see what UK is doing. Let's come back to those 6 companies and what UK is doing. The UK's government has plans to expand nuclear energy capacity to 24 gigawatts by 2050. that would be overall government strategy, which would be 4 times increase its capacity. So perhaps opportunities are there, right? And who and or which company can do the best work? That's a different question. With a fleet of small modular reactors, a key part of the strategy earlier this year, the government and the new Great British Nuclear arm-length body set up to deliver extra capacity, begin by selection process of which SMR technology to be used. There are more than 70 different designs of SMRs or small modular reactors around the world and all different stages of development, and it is not known how many of them to put themselves forward for selection, with GBN said was joined on being the most able to be delivered operational SMRs by the mid 2030s. The aims for the final investment decision is to be taken in 2029. So there's still some time and research to be done. It says that the next stage of test will be launched as soon as possible. There were successful companies will shortlisted to be able to bid for the government contracts. The ambition is to announce in spring 2024, which are one of the 6 companies the government will support or receive finance from the government to potentially scale the operations from successful prototype and launch wider ambition, I guess, with contracts awarded by summer 2024. So we wrap that on this period, right? This timetable aims to make this competition the fastest of its kind in the world. Speed and then we're taking a nuclear. It's never, I wouldn't say, it's never good. Slow down safety. Let's prioritize safety, but it can be overpriced and cost, as well as then there's a standards agency, and that standards agency will need to check to make sure all the safety standards have been followed, and potentially they would need to manufacture one prototype, and one prototype should be tested, and then they can scale this particular prototype, compared to the traditional way of making nuclear power plants, where they could constantly would need to test every site, since every site would be custom made. So that's the difference. One to be manufactured and scaled, compared to every nuclear power plant built, and all the processes when it comes to safety need to be tested, right? There's a lot of opinions and announcements, and there's a lot of people who are making statements. I'm not sure if I should read it, as well as there might be private businesses and CEOs within those businesses. All this kind of information. So I'll get and I'll share it, but not necessarily I'm interested in reading it. I think we have covered everything what will be important. But if anything, there's competition taking place, and perhaps the fastest and or best business to win the opportunity to do business with the government, right? And which company will win, who knows, right? So, to finalize this article, since there's a lot of CEOs, a lot of people, a lot of statements, which is always good. Great British Nuclear said earlier this year that is expected up to 4, so it's 4 times increase in energy capacity, and what would be most optimal way to solve this problem, right? Perhaps to scale down processes to make it as small as it can be, moving from custom built sites into one particular site everywhere. Kinda, since there's 6 companies, right? Technologies can be selected for support to pursue a project throughout final investment decision to construction and or operation, with the support including so potentially 2 companies, right? One is construction company and one is engineering company, right? So there's a lot of partnership, a lot of suppliers, all those kind of things, right? Funding to support technology development, site-specific design, a close partnership with Great British Nuclear, which will be ready to be able to provide developer capability and support in accessing sites, right? So I would highly encourage reduce the size. Perhaps they're still talking about manufacturing large sites, but either way, let's progress and take a look at the next articles, right? Let's take a look at some of those opportunities, perhaps to build this reactor for many businesses and or people interested in solving this problem might be too big of a task, in particular in the beginning. Some of those companies have received government funding, by the way, to build prototypes. Let's just not bring more attention to those companies, right? Well, I thought, okay, what would perhaps other people could begin and where to start, right? So that would be potentially two competitions that we can take a look at. That would be a new challenge. The reactional contamination had development into large, congestive, highly radioactive vessels. Post-operational clean-out. There's a location of the site, but that potentially would have a lot of oversight and know-how when it comes to solving some of those problems. If it's something that you yourself are interested in engaging, that would be within the UK, and perhaps in the future they might be interested in launching additional competitions and increasing from 6 companies up to 10, right? So it will be 10 companies. International cleaning of large, highly radioactive vessels with the complex international configurations. It's perhaps a unique opportunity, but that is just an example of those opportunities, as well as we can touch on the time frame. That will be Wednesday, 7th of August. And if it's something yourself interested in, there's a webinar where you can find out more. There's a lot of time. Let's progress to the next opportunity, right? As well as, let's take a look at the next channel challenge. A new challenge that would be fixatives for contaminant of alpha contamination of glove boxes, right? So alpha, so they're referring to very particular particles, and those particles potentially should be contaminated and or cleaned if possible, right? That is just a small, very small scale example. So if you're interested in solving large problems, something that we have touched in the beginning of this video, perhaps you might be interested in starting small, and once you get a feel for it, perhaps from there progress into larger problems like small modular reactors and how to build those, right? But either way, that would be, there are approximately 800 glove boxes across the Sheffield site, made up of a variety of materials such as steel, plastic, elastomers, that contains radioactive materials, including alpha particles. Due to advanced age of many of the glove boxes, they fail within the next few years, leading to a breach of contamination. So, but potentially that would be a challenge, and some of these companies who can potentially solve some of these challenges, right? Small contracts who perhaps up to 6 months or so. I haven't read it, by the way. Then perhaps up to 6 months, and who can offer a solution to that, and from there progressing into or building on top of that to a bigger that would potentially lead to who can solve problems, as well as the time frame. We're looking at Thursday, 25th of July, so within the next 10 days. So people who are interested, they can engage with partners. So that will be 2 opportunities, right? Once that's been said, let's close on that. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.